What's good, YouTube? Drake back with another tutorial. Alright, today we have a mid-taper tutorial on my client. Also, before I start this tutorial, I want to apologize in advance for the lighting. I was just experimenting with various different lightings because this is my first video back with my new camera. Yeah, I just bought a Sony ZV-1. And yeah, I was just experimenting with the lighting, trying to see what's best, what works, and what doesn't. Right here, I'm going in with my Barber liner, setting in that first bald guideline at the bottom. I usually try to set my taper guidelines in more of a rainbow-like shape just to give it more of a burst effect. I follow that up with my Barber shaver. This just gives it the skin tight feel. It just gives it more of a better gradiency and just a better pop in the fade overall. Honestly, every barber has their own style, but in my style, I like to set in my first guideline with the no guard halfway open. I don't do it all the way because it gives my tapers more of a compressed and tighter feel, and I really like that because it makes it look more bursted. After setting in the guideline with my lever halfway open, I close it up and take it out. Just to take out some of the bulk, I went in with my 1.5 guard all the way open. I know a lot of beginner barbers don't really understand what the terms open, closed, or halfway would mean. That's basically the lever controlling the height of the blade, separating the cutting blade. So basically, I'm just gonna make a video about this soon. Stay tuned. Video coming very, very soon. Right here, I'm using my half guard, trying to fade into that 1.5. I don't really use the 1 guard as much. I mainly use it for detail work. The reason I do this is because I like to keep everything compressed, and especially in mid tapers, because I don't want to take the fade up too high. Genuinely just trying to keep everything dark. After trying my best to fade in with the half guard, as you can see, it's almost completely perfect. Now I'll go in with my 1 guard and just detail right there using the corner of my blade. Also, make sure you're very careful when cutting around the ear. Try to move it out the way as best as you can, simply because it can get caught in the machine, and you definitely don't want that. Make sure you're also going back to detail throughout the haircut. Detail work is key to a consistent blend. As far as the lineup goes, make sure you're brushing everything down. I actually got this one great tip from my mentor, shout out Sinful Cuts. She taught me to start from the top corner of the C cup and then come from the bottom and connect it up. This usually just gives me more movement in my hand. Honestly, in the barber game, everything is just about comfort. It's all yours, personal, be creative, and just find what works for you. Again, please be careful around the ear, moving it out the way whenever lining it up or fading. Starting with the back taper and design, make sure to comb everything down, make sure everything's laying down in place. Starting off with the 1.5 guard close, I'm going against the grain just to debulk the area. Following that up with the 2 guard open, going against the grain. Then I went in with my 1 guard open to finish debulking that area. Before I start any design, I usually like to lightly taper the area. The reason I do this is to keep the design looking dark, and then I go under and fade around the shape of the design. I move the ear out the way and go in with the 1.5 just to debulk the area a little bit before lining it up. Now, depending on every design is different. but I always use the same technique. I go in with my trimmer and set in the lines for the design, making sure not to make them too thick but also not too thin. Since the design was already here, it was easier just going over the same design. When setting in the bald guideline with a trimmer, I try to go in with the same shape as the design. Then I just start fading up as usual. Now I go ahead and repeat the same steps on the other side. As far as the front lineup goes, I make sure to brush everything down first, then go in with a 1.5 with the grain. I do this to make sure to keep all the hair dark. This is what the client requested after all. The client is always right. Being that we have similar hair textures and also been cutting her hair for quite a while, I already know how to work around the lighter spot in the middle of her hairline. Whenever I'm lining someone up, I always use holding spray. It just holds the hair in place and makes it much easier for me to line them up. Making sure their head is straight, I start my lineups in the middle and go to the left and then the right side. Here I'm making sure not to push anything back, keeping the lineup as natural as possible, just taking off the overhang. Make sure you're also always going back to detail your work if you see anything you need to touch up.
ASAP, is that you?
With the straight razor, make sure you're holding it at a 45-degree angle to the skin and pulling the skin back very tight in order to not cut your client. Here I'm demonstrating how I hold my straight razor. Once again, comfort is everything, but just find what works for you. Now I'm going back in with my compressor and enhancement just to take the lineup to the next level. I usually do this upon request. sometimes double up with the hair fibers if I'm going for that extra enhanced look. Now I just go ahead and put in the final touches. YouTube, that's the cut. Make sure you give your boy a follow, like, subscribe, share, whatever you gotta do. Just get my video out there. Appreciate all the support. Thanks. I'm out. Peace.
Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual. Niggas swear they passed us, they doing too much. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Virgil got a paddock on my wrist going nuts.